guys, Cooper Carter here for G66, and in this video, I want to show you how you can quickly get a great lead tone out of the Axe-Fx 2 XL. Let's check it out. Okay, so here we are with a blank preset as always. I'm gonna go ahead and call this G66 lead, and I'm gonna run shunts from the input to the output so that we have sound. Now we are making a lead tone here, but we wanna start with just a basic amp and a cab. So we have so many great options for amps in the Axe-Fx that give a great lead tone. I'm gonna base this lead tone off of the Rascal Flatts guitarist Joe Don Rooney's lead tone on their single Life is a Highway, which I really think draws a great line, or walks a great line rather, between kind of a modern edge tone and a vintage lead. So it fits very well with the kind of country rock thing he's doing, but it could also sit equally well in a hard rock song or even a kind of a classic vintage rock song. So I'm gonna base this off of the Shiver lead amp type, which is based on a Bogner Shiva amplifier, the lead channel. So let's just go ahead and choose our cab here. And again, like in the other two videos on tone that I've done this month, I'm gonna use one of the IRs that is an ultra-res IR that is not included in the Axe-Fx 2, but is in the XL, and you can get them in the Axe-Fx 2 firmware file under the ultra-res sample files. And I'm gonna go over here and actually pick this TAF Art Tango JR mix. I really like the way this cab sounds, and we can just take a quick listen to it right now. Okay, so that's a really cool crunch tone, but it doesn't have quite the amount of saturation that we want for a lead tone. So I'm gonna go ahead and start changing a couple things on this amp. First off, I'm gonna crank the drive up to about 8, and I'm gonna leave this master where it's at. I also wanna bring this level up because it's a little quiet. I'm gonna set this, I think, to -5. Then I'm just gonna start shaping our tone. So I wanna bring a little bit of the bass down. I don't need a ton of bottom end, so I'm gonna bring the bass down to about 3.5. And I'm gonna bring the mids actually up a little bit because you want a little more mid in your lead. And I'm gonna take this treble down a little bit as well. For the presence, I'm actually gonna drop the presence way down. I come from the Eric Johnson school of tone where your lead should be a little less present, a little less trebly. So I'm gonna bring the presence down there. I am gonna turn on this fat switch, and just to add a little body, we took it out there on the bass. I'm just gonna add it back a little bit on the fat switch. So now we kind of have this tone instead. So I'm pretty happy with where that's at. What I wanna do also is now go in and add a drive pedal just to kind of saturate the amp a little bit more. I'm gonna pick the 808 OD, and what I'm gonna do is bring this drive way down. I don't actually wanna add any grit to the tone. We've got enough of that already, but what I wanna do is just saturate the signal hitting the amplifier a little bit harder than we already are. So I'm gonna bring this tone up a bit right there to kind of add in a little bit of mid sparkle. And then I'm actually gonna take this level up here a little bit as well. What the level is doing is just increasing the amount of signal going into the amp and making the amp bloom a little bit more. If we crank this all the way up, we'd be super saturating the amp. It'd be really aggressive with tons of sustain and also a lot of noise. But with this drive down, we can boost this level a little bit and not add too much actual grit to the sound. We're just gonna add a little bit of saturation, a little bit of gain, so we get this kind of sound. All right, so I've got the tone exactly where I want it. So what I'm gonna start doing now is adding a little atmosphere. Of course, it's a lead, so we wanna go with some delay. And I'm gonna go with the digital stereo here. Leave this time on 500, but I'm gonna set the ratio to 50. You'll be able to see what that does. It just gives it a ping pong between the left and the right channels. So you'll hear this. I can just do a little chunk chunk. You hear it's going back and forth between the two channels, and that'll give us this kind of expansive sound. Okay, so you can hear what that delay is doing. I'm actually gonna take this mix way down though to about 7, let's say 7.5. And that's gonna make it way less pronounced and just add a little bit of atmosphere to the tone so it'll sound more like this. So we've got that, and now the other thing I want to do is add a little bit of reverb. And I'm actually going to add this reverb in parallel so we have a little bit better sense of just how much volume we're adding. You can put it in series, a lot of people do that, but I'm going to put this in parallel just because I want to make sure that the same amount of volume is happening with our main tone, whether or not the reverb's on. So when we put it in parallel, we've got to make sure that we set this mix to 100%. And you're going to control the mix of the actual sound with this level, which I'm going to put at about minus 3.5. And I'm going to select this small room. I'm actually going to turn off the delay so we can get a better sense of what's going on with this reverb. So that's a nice reverb sound. What I am going to do is take this time up, though, to about 1.5, and let's check out what that sounds like. I'm actually clipping a tiny little bit on the Axe-Fx's input with that, so I'm going to take this level down to about 8, minus 8 maybe. All right, so I really like where that is. It sounds like it's in a great studio space, and it sounds a lot like the stem track of the Life is a Highway lead that I'm kind of basing this sound off of. So let's add the delay back in, and I think we've got our lead tone here.